Hello, Central New York, and hello, hockey fans all across the internet, and welcome to 315 Hockey Live, brought to you by 315hockey.com and powered by My Little Falls. I'm your host, Scott Kinville, and I got to tell you guys, it's good to be back in the saddle.
Yeah.
It feels really good.
Well, you've been around enough hay, so the saddle must be hurting.
You think so? You think?
Look at Mike. We got a smile out of Mike.
Only about 12 ton of it. That's it.
Yeah,
really.
That's
it. As Dave was saying last week when he was filling in for me, as my job as a firefighter, I had to miss last week, but you guys did great. And Dave, I got to tell you, that was impressive watching you run around the table. That really was.
Yeah. You couldn't see it on the audio version.
Yeah.
I cut that part out.
I was like, I hope I don't have to show up with the ambulance.
Yeah, really.
Oh boy. Anyways, we have got a great show lined up for you guys tonight. Before we start, you've heard Dave the Save Warner, our producer, of course.
Yeah, I'm here somewhere.
And I'm going to bring in my co-host. He is the founder of 315 Hockey. He is Mr. Mike Vermitsky. Mike, what's going on?
Just hanging out with Braylon over here.
She's our co-host.
Yeah. Want to say hi?
Hi, welcome to the show.
She's going to want royalties. Leave her off.
Okay. Yep. That's enough.
Yeah. Anyways, I'm excited for the show. Glad to have Louie on here with us. Should be a good one.
Absolutely. And you know what, Mike? That's a great segue right there, because our guest tonight is Utica hockey fans know this guy very well. He is a former Utica College Pioneer standout. He is the current head coach of the Utica Jr Comets NCDC team. He is the one and the only Mr. Louie Educati. Louie, what's going on?
How's it going, guys? I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. Thank you for coming on. We appreciate it. You guys, you just came off the road yesterday.
Yeah, we just got back. Tough 3-game weekend for us. We have today off, and we'll get back to it tomorrow. But yeah, this weekend was a tough one. We lost one in overtime and one in a shootout. So it's never fun that way.
But that was out in Marlboro, Mass, if I'm not mistaken. Correct?
Yeah.
Now, is that where the Warrior Ice Arena is?
Where what?
The Warrior Ice Arena.
I'm not sure. We played at the New England Sports Center there. It's the big 8-sheet.
Right. Yeah, the only reason
it's kind of a circus there, to be quite honest.
A hockey circus. Awesome.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no doubt.
That's great. So you know what? Let's go into your background a little bit here before we get going. So, like I said, you had a heck of a career with the Pioneers. And then after you graduated in 2015, and you had a little bit of a hockey stint in Germany. So how was that playing over in Germany?
Yeah, it was different. It was very different. To be honest, when I left school, I left my senior year after the season ended. Before I graduated, I went down south and I played a few games. I think I just played about 10 games. And it worked out all right. I ended up going home to finish graduating, and that team actually went on to win the championship in the Southern Pro League. Knoxville did that year, and they wanted me back the next season, and I ended up going back. I played like 3 games. I played all right. I think I had like 3 assists in 3 games, and they released me, and it was so early in the season that I didn't have many options. Not a lot of teams are calling. Some teams are interested, and I just didn't want to wait any longer. So I got a hold of a team in Germany, and, I went there, and it was definitely a bit of a culture shock. I mean, they have the import rule over there, and, there's not a lot of Americans. There were no Americans on my team. Our imports were all Czechs. So it took me a while to get acclimated, honestly, over there. And it was definitely different. The city of New Ulm that I played in was unbelievable, though. I had a great time, kind of like touristing. The hockey was, I don't want to say secondary, but because it wasn't. The whole reason I went over there is I wanted to continue playing, and I wanted to come back to the States the following year, or at least climb the ladder over in Germany, which when I went there, I found out it wasn't as easy as I thought it might have been, even with producing. So the whole plan was just to stay on the ice and kind of keep developing so I could come back to the States and hopefully find a home for a season over here.
Gotcha. So what is the import rule anyway?
Yeah, I mean, every league has like a different import rule. So I believe the league I was in, you're only allowed two, or maybe it was three. So every league, there's a ton of, there's a lot of Germans on the team. A lot of those Czechs had dual citizenship as well, but the other couple didn't. So every team only had like one American or one Canadian on it, to fill those roster spots. So it obviously makes it harder to climb the ladder when you have guys in the higher leagues, maybe under that played AHL games or even NHL games.
Sure. And was language an issue? Because I mean, I don't know if they spoke mainly German or is it
Yeah,
a
certainly.
little bit of English?
The coach spoke, English a bit, but everything that he, talked about was in German, and I had no idea how to speak German. But so he'd make a speech and then just talk to me after, and it was, there was definitely a language barrier there. There was a couple guys over there. A lot of the guys knew how to speak English. It was a little bit broken, but they helped me along. But it was more as an import. It's just like, hey, you better put the puck in the net, or you're not helping.
Right. Well, I'll tell you, after you got done in Germany, though, you come back to the Southern Professional Hockey League, which I got to tell you is, to me, that's a hidden gem in the hockey world. It really is. When I had the Marty's Illegal Stick show going there, we had Roy Chambers, who was the house announcer for the Roanoke Rail Yard Dogs, and he sent us a few videos and just some crazy stuff going on, right?
Best game ever.
The league, the Southern Pro, I mean, I think it's a lot better than people think it is. There's definitely good hockey players there. It's obviously like a lot of high-end D3 guys. There's definitely Division I players in there. A lot of guys with coast games. Every once in a while, you'll get a kid that's played some AHL down there. But like when I played in Huntsville for the season, I mean, it was unbelievable. They could easily have an AHL team down there. I think it's more of where they're located. We sold out every night, 7,500 fans. I mean, the community embraced it. It was a really unbelievable experience to play down there. I was very impressed.
Huntsville, that's Alabama, correct?
Yeah, it is.
And I think they had Division I hockey for a while.
Yeah, Huntsville, Alabama, Division I team. I want to say they're still kicking, but I know they weren't. They might have got like there was something going on where they might have got sent out. I'm not sure if I'd have to look that up if they're still playing. But yeah, they didn't do so well fanfare wise. Like we stole all the fans. They only had a couple hundred or 1,000 a night, and the ticket was the Southern Pro game, and a lot of that down south probably had to do with the fighting, but the game molded down there to more of a skill game. Kind of when I was transitioning into the league versus, hey, this is still fighting. It was certainly still fighting, but it wasn't as much of a focus as I think it might have been, 10, 15 years ago.
Sure. Did you ever play against Adam Pollock?
I did not. His last year in the league, I believe, was the year I played. So I played after college, but we never played them. And then when I was in, for the 15 games total, I was in Knoxville. We never played him. And then when I went to Germany that year, I think was his last year playing.
Yeah, I couldn't remember what the timeline was there.
Yeah, we just missed each other.
Yeah, it is what it is, right?
Right.
But your last season in the SPHL was 2016-17, and you had a heck of a year. You had 20 goals. You were an all-star. So what was it at that point that you decided to stop playing professionally?
I actually broke my hand pretty bad a Thursday, a day before a game, like down the stretch. We were a first place team. It's having a really good year, and it's, obviously the hockey season's long, and it was one of those things where I was playing really well, and I actually hit a slump for a bit there. I didn't have a point in 9 games. And then I just broke out of it, and I was feeling really good, really excited to hit the last kind of 6 weeks of the season. And I blocked a shot in practice. I never blocked one in a game, but of course I blocked one in practice, and it shattered my hand in 7 spots. And it was like a 2 pins, 4-month recovery. I was put on season-ending IR right there. And that night, I think that I got the news that I was on IR. Was pretty tough, because I knew that might have been my last season, kind of just going for it. And we had such a good team. I wanted to end. You can't play in the minor pro forever. And when that happened, I wasn't sure if I was going to play again, and it kind of all hit me that, hey, that might have been it, and it's done. And it unfortunately was. I wish I could have at least finish that year, just because of how much success I was having, and the team was it was one of the best teams I ever played on.
Oh,
He
technical
disappeared.
difficulties.
I didn't do it.
Lost Louie.
And let's see here.
He'll come back.
Oh,
We could play music or something, you know.
yeah, right. I tell you, it wouldn't be the show. It wouldn't be the show if we didn't have a technical difficulty, right?
No,
There's always something.
No.
I am not the one. My stuff
Are you
is
sure?
working.
You
My
sure
stuff
you
is
weren't over there
working.
pushing buttons or something?
Yeah.
Because I just want to make sure over here, right?
I did. You saw me leaning back and watching and listening to him breaking his hand in 7 places and 2 pins, and I was sitting here
Oh.
crunched up, going, "Ouch!"
You know what? I cringed inside when he said that. I'm like, God. And you know the amazing part, like he said, he did a blocking a shot, and you've got gloves on.
That's
So whoever
wild.
fired that bucket must have been a rocket.
hire him.
You know, like
Yeah.
good God.
Yeah,
I don't
that.
know. But yeah, I mean, like I said, you remember when Roy Chambers
Yeah.
had him on?
Yeah.
That was just some of the stories he told about that. And I'm telling you, at some point, I am going to get down there and see an SPHL game.
That sounds like fun.
It does.
I was curious about that rule too, what that meant. I'm glad you asked him about it. Here he comes back. There
Sorry,
he is.
guys. I think I just did it.
Oh, that's all right. Hey, listen, early commercial break, right?
Yeah, no doubt.
Did you pay your electric?
No, so after you were done with your playing career, you ended up back up here.
Yeah.
So you became an assistant coach with your alma mater, the Utica College Pioneers. They were Utica College back then.
Yeah.
So tell us, how did that come about?
Yeah. So honestly, like when I got injured, that was all part of the decision. It was kind of 50-50 going into the summer if I was going to play again or not. Once kind of all the dust settled from the injury and the rehab. And I had spoken with Gary Heenan a few times right after I got hurt. And I was like, I know I want to coach. I'd love to coach in Utica if, the opportunity presented itself. And at the time when I first asked, he had an assistant, and it looked somewhat unlikely, but he ended up taking, we'll say a real world job versus the hockey career. And it kind of opened up. And right when it did, it was something that I knew I had to jump at if I wanted to start coaching. There was no other opportunity that would have been better than coaching for the team you played for, where I honestly learned the most in my hockey career from Utica College and from Gary Heenan. So it was a no-brainer, coupled with the fact that, when I went down to Huntsville, I had a girlfriend that I met at school that I'm now married to, and, we were going on year 6, 7 or whatever it was. So it just kind of all the stars aligned, and it made sense to make that move to Utica to coach.
Yeah, that's awesome. That really is. So was coaching something that you maybe always kind of had in the back of your mind after you were done with your playing career? Was it just kind of one of those things where, hey, you know what, I think my playing career is over. This is something I'd like to do.
Yeah, for sure. Honestly, I can't remember, even when I was a kid, anything other than I wanted to do than, play hockey. And I think once I started getting into juniors, and approaching college, you're like, okay, this is going to end at some point. What are you going to do? So starting, once I kind of got a couple of years under my belt in juniors, I knew that I wanted to coach. I remember having a couple conversations with some of my junior coaches about, hey, how did you get into coaching? All that kind of stuff. So my whole life has revolved around hockey, to be quite honest with you. And the reason I started coaching was because I kind of wanted to give back, some of the things that I had learned and a lot of the things that I didn't know going into juniors in college and all that stuff. So that was the major reason to start coaching. And I mean, it's kind of, I've never really thought of doing anything else, to be honest.
Yeah, that's really cool. And you know what? Like you got a ton of experience to bring to the table to help these young kids. And now, so you went to the Utica Jr Comets premier team. You were the head coach there, and now you're NCDC. So if you could, for everybody who's listening, explain how the Junior Comets are set up as far as levels all the way down the USPHL, because some people may not know. I mean, they hear Junior Comets, but there's several teams. So if you could just kind of explain the whole level thing.
Yeah, I mean, if you work all the way down, I mean, obviously you can work all the way down to learn to skate, learn to play. It's all at the odd, and moving into the Nexus Center, with the mites to, midgets, you know, we have a U18 team, and then everything in between that, along with our premier team and our NCDC team. So my assistant coach, Nick Piacci, who's the head coach of the premier team, we work really closely together. We're on the ice together every day. He's on the bench with me. I'm on the bench with him. We like to do that because it brings kind of that transition from premier to NCDC where, you know, premiers, it's your junior B, right?
Okay.
And if you will, it's tier 3, they call it. And then NCDC's your tier 2, tuition free. You're more of junior A, I guess, quality of player. So those
kind of like varsity to junior varsity kind
yeah,
of deal?
like
Okay.
those premier guys are inspiring to be tier 2 NCDC players. So a lot of those guys that we recruit for premier, you know, we want to develop and get them on our NCDC team. It shows, you know, upward movement in our organization. And at the end of the day, we want to pull from our own organization and our own area versus pulling from, you know, somewhere else that we may not, you know or have affiliates with, if you will. So, I mean, we take a lot of pride in that premier program. There's been a lot of recent success with that team, and there's been guys that have climbed that ladder from premier to NCDC to college, for example. You know, John Gutt, when I was coaching premier, played for me for a year. And then he played NCDC for 2 years, and now he's a freshman for Utica University with Coach Heenan. So that's
awesome.
kind of how you can see that working, obviously.
Yeah, that's really awesome, actually.
Yeah.
So with the junior, like I know, like with the lower levels, it's a lot of like local players.
Yep.
So with like Premier and NCDC, is there any recruiting involved? And if so, how does that work?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we definitely, I mean, our whole summer spent recruiting. We recruit a little bit during the season. You know, all these kids have advisors now, and that's a whole different conversation. But you know, we go out to all these showcases all summer long. Our league has 2 big ones. There's one in May that's more like a pre-draft, and then there's a main camp, and then there's a training camp. So, you know, there's a draft in our league, and you're drafting younger players. For example, this year we were able to draft 05s and 06s. Most of those guys are too young to play tier 2 NCDC. We only have 105 on our roster right now. Well, 2 actually at the moment. But those are guys that we think can be future Comets, if you will. And a lot of those guys were trying to get in here for, you know, Premier or NCDC and continue to kind of build their hockey careers. You know, so the draft is a big thing. We obviously, you know, prepare for all season. This year it's in April. So this season we'll do a little recruiting during the year and try to find some guys throughout the country to draft. You know, like you said, the local guys, there's a lot of local guys on the Premier team, and there's a lot of local guys on the NCDC team too. It's about 5 and 5. Mm-hmm. And then everyone else is from, you know, around the country. Some guys, some Canadians. We actually have a couple kids from Europe as well. So these kids come from all over. We obviously want to build that local brand. Like that, I think, is what is the seller. It's like, let's see how many local guys can we actually bring in here. And I think, you know, if you look at the learn to skate, learn to play, that whole model, mites, squirts, peewees, all the way through midgets, if you get that going in a big hockey town like Utica, I think you can kind of transform the junior program into something really big with, you know, the university here and the AHL team. It's pretty exciting how far this can go if we do it right. And we're definitely taking steps in the right direction the last few years here.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I'll tell you, that's got to be an incredible undertaking going through all these players in the off season, because I mean, the database has got to be huge between everybody that's, you know, United States, Canada, Europe, all over. I mean, that's incredible. Yeah,
it is. It's wild. I mean, there's certainly kids that reach out to you. There's advisors that reach out to you. You got to do your own recruiting and find those kind of diamond in the roughs, and they're out there. There's so many kids that fly under the radar, and you got to do your best to find those guys and who you want to bring in and mold into your organization. I mean, that's probably the trickiest thing is finding. I mean, you can, you know, I always say forwards are a dime a dozen, but at this age, I mean, they all are really like, and it's what do you want to mold your team around, and what kind of character do you want to bring in, and what kind of program do you really want to build? Because I think so many kids have so much inside of them, and it's what can you pull out of them? And, you know, how high can they set their sights and see how far they really can go. Because I mean, like I said, there's a lot in these kids and they don't even realize it. And it's how much can you really pull out of those guys.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Well, November 9th, it looks like is going to be a big day for the Junior Comets. It's the Nexus Center premiere, and I got to tell you, the Nexus Center has got to be a great tool too for
sure.
recruiting. To bring people in, because I mean, I've heard that place is booked for a year already.
Yeah, the Nexus Center is going to be unbelievable. The amount of resources that have gone into that is incredible. There's a lot of people working really hard on that to try to make that extremely functional, and it's going to be in 100%. It's a big recruiting tool. With the gym in there and the locker rooms and just the facility in itself and what's all going to be in there, coupled with the odd and the AHL team and the university. And now we have tier 2 tuition free hockey. We have the premier team that can grow into that. You have the youth hockey that's booming. It's certainly a selling point. There's no doubt. And kids are excited about it.
Oh, I can imagine, especially a brand new facility like that. It's going to be great.
Yeah.
And you mentioned tuition free again. So just for people that are listening and maybe don't, could you maybe elaborate on that just a little bit?
Yeah. So once you get into junior hockey, most junior leagues, which I said junior B or tier 3, is now it's all pay to play, just like it is for 18U, 16U,
sure.
Through mites really. And the tuition is, it's not cheap. And so once these kids get past a certain level to this tier 2 or tier 1, which would be like the USHL, they're playing for free. So they don't owe the team anything. They don't pay for anything other than their living, other than their housing. And we put them up with billet families, or player housing. So they pay for their cost of living, and we cover everything else from their bus trips, to their meals, to their travel, obviously their jersey, uniform, equipment, besides skates.
Yeah, right. Well, you don't want to get involved with those because, man, they get quite expensive too.
Yeah,
I know.
Go ahead.
Oh no, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, it's a big. Obviously, as parents know, hockey's expensive, right? And what we try to tell parents is, it is an investment. To play hockey for sure. And if you're going to play tier 3 hockey, you got to know that you're in a good spot where your kid's going to get treated right. And we're going to try to develop him to get them to a school. Cause ultimately we're a stepping stone for these kids. Their journey, we don't want their journey to stop here and just play hockey, not to go to school and kind of fizzle out. Like, we want kids to come in here and want to play hockey and want to get better and earn, whether that's a Division 3 opportunity or a Division 1 scholarship. Like, that's the goal for every single kid that comes and plays Premier or NCDC for us. We want to fulfill that for them.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I know Mike's got a question about your competitive style behind the bench.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, but before we get to that, I want to go back to the draft real quick.
Yeah.
So when you draft these kids, are you guaranteed that they're going to play for the organization, or can they go to like a different league,
So yeah, no, it's a good question. Our league technically isn't USA Hockey sanctioned, so it creates loopholes in the fact of, if we draft a player, we have his rights in the league, so he can only play for us in the league unless we trade him, release him, etc. We're never going to hold a kid down. At the end of the day, we're not going to draft a kid who doesn't want to come to Utica either way. We're going to have conversations with the player before he comes here. Now, if a circumstance arises where he wants to play for another organization, we can trade him for something like another draft pick or a player or a tender or really anything. It's not to weigh the player down. The draft just shows, hey, you're a player that we like. We think you can play here. Why don't you come out and see what Utica's all about? And we'll give you a fair shake, if you will. And every guy we draft, we see plans for making the team. It's not like, you're not drafting a kid just to draft a kid, obviously. But they're allowed to, like, say we draft them, they can go play technically in Canada or the North American League or the USHL, and there's nothing holding them back from doing that. Just our league.
Okay.
Gotcha. Hey, you know what? Actually, now I got to ask. The draft, is that like a Zoom kind of thing, or is it everybody gets together in person?
Yeah. So this year it was live, actually, for the first time. It is like a Zoom. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's basically a big Zoom conference. We're definitely, I think we actually posted it a couple hours late because it was the first time we were doing it live, and we wanted to work out the kinks. And next year we want to go fully live, and make it a little bit more exciting for the kids, and they can watch and all that stuff.
That's really cool, actually,
Yeah.
because I mean that's got to be a thrill for
sure.
you know, especially that young of age. You know, hey, my name got called. This is great. You know,
No doubt. Yeah, absolutely.
absolutely.
That's why I have you on a 2-hour delay, Scott. Just
2,
in case.
that's it?
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
you're going to
good
say
for
a
me,
2-day
too.
delay. What are you talking about?
I was wondering that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it only
I
took
gotta
you 20
clean-
minutes too. That was
Yeah. I got to clean it up after this.
Right. That's hilarious.
But yeah, Verm, go ahead. About the competitive nature behind the bench.
Yeah, so obviously I know that you're very competitive and passionate as a coach.
Yep.
And do you think that carries over to the guys on your team?
Yeah, I mean, my competitiveness is something that I've always had. You know, even as a kid, I've always had kind of a bark to my game, if you will, or just
A bark.
how
A good one.
how I operate. Yeah, certainly very competitive. I hate losing, I think, more than anyone I really know, to be honest. And yeah, it definitely feeds to the players, and I feel that they understand my passion for the game and what I'm trying to get out of them. You know, it's sometimes I've had to learn the last couple of years, like when to pull back a little bit and when to kind of like hit a, you know, just like, hey, Lou, you need to calm down. Just hit a reset button. But a lot of time, you know, now it's got to be at the right time, right? You got to know when you can kind of get on a guy or even like an official. And I think the official thing for me has turned into, hey, it's like now you can do it when you're like protecting a player, protecting your team, or you're trying to get something out of your guys versus it even being directed at the referee. If that makes sense, you know, just showing them that you kind of have their back in certain situations. And some of it's like, I don't want them yelling at the ref. You know, they need to work the ref their own way versus the coach. And that was something it's Verms, this might surprise you, but I actually thought I was good at as a player. Because I could talk to the ref like before the game or in between whistles and just have a conversation. You know, now when you're leading a group, it's definitely changes, and it's a new world or a new perspective for me that it's just, you got to figure out what works and what doesn't, and how you can actually get the respect of a referee or along with your players, where, you know, they're understanding what you're doing and why you're doing it.
You know, speaking of referees, now I got to ask, have you ever had to yell at Verm on the ice?
Oh, I've yelled at every ref in the United States, I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. That is awesome.
Well, at the end of the day, we still have a beer together, don't we, Louie?
Yeah, no doubt.
There you go.
Have to.
That's all that counts too, right?
Yep.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too. It's like at the end of the day, you know, I'm trying to win hockey games, and my players are trying to win hockey games, and the refs are just trying to, you know, make an even playing field and do the best that they can to, you know, mediate the game. And, you know, that's the only thing I think as most coaches ask is like, you just want it to be as, you know, I guess bipartisan as it can be. And it's easier said than done. There's no doubt. And it's funny because like now my guys will, you know, they'll yell at the ref or yell at the linesman. And it's like, that's not that you're yelling at the wrong guy. Like the linesman doesn't make that call. The ref doesn't make that call. That linesman doesn't make that call on that icing. You know what I mean? It's like if you're arguing or yelling, you better know what you're talking about.
Right.
And I will say too, I mean, in Verm, I'm sure you can attest to this. I mean, that's got to be a difficult job a lot of times, you know, especially when you not only have a coach scream, but you got a crowd that's, you know, going crazy as well. That's my hat's off to you, Verm. I can't take it off right now because my headset's on. But
Well, I mean, to be totally honest, a lot of the time you don't even hear the crowd. I mean, you hear the coaches and the players, but you kind of tune out the crowd noise because you're focused on the game.
Yeah, that's a great point though too, and that just, you know, that just shows the concentration that goes into it. I mean, that's unbelievable. So Louie, what are a couple of things you want your players to remember you by as a coach?
Oh, I mean, the passion's definitely one that we kind of touched on, and it's, you know, when guys leave here, you want the best for those players, and ultimately you want those players to understand that when they came here, you're just trying to get the best out of them. And that's all it is. For me, it's when a guy leaves, it's like, okay, what did I learn? What did I do to get better? And it's not just on the ice, it's off the ice as well. I think for me, when I was in college was really when my whole life changed. I didn't know a lot as a junior hockey player. I kind of went into everything blind, and I wish I knew more at 16, 17, 18 that I know now. And that's the knowledge that I want to bestow on these kids. And like I touched on before as well, like how much these kids actually have inside of them and what they can get out of themselves, because it goes by quick and everyone knows that. But the more that they put in and day out, the more that they'll get out of it. And it's really, I mean, they're at such a development age and they're influenced by so many different things. You just want to put them on the right path. And I think if you do that, you'll get the respect of the players. And so far it's been pretty good for me. I've been in touch with a lot of the guys that I've moved on to the next level. And that's probably the most rewarding thing when you get the phone call. I just got one last week from a kid who played for us last year, who committed Division I out of a different league. And like, he just wanted to give me a call and thank me for, what Utica provided him. And those are the things that make you fulfilled as a coach. Like when a kid takes the time out of his day when you haven't talked to him in 6 months to give you a phone call that, he did something that he felt that you had a role in, you know what I mean? So that's really all that this job is about, is giving these kids the best opportunity to succeed.
And that's got to make you feel great as a coach too.
Yeah.
When you get a phone call like that.
Yeah, it is. It's funny. You hang up the phone and you're like, I tell my wife, I'm like, I can't believe this kid just called me. It's, that's what's rewarding about it. That's why you want to go to the rink every day, is, that you changed somebody's life for the better. And those phone calls are coming in more often than, I don't want to say than I would have expected, but those things are happening, and that's what shows that the program's growing, right, in Utica. And we have the resources now to help these kids and get them to where they want to go, and which is the most important thing, whether the player realizes that or not when they're playing for you, right? When they're on the bench in the middle of the game or in the practice, they think you're just yelling at them or whatever. But, the only reason I'm here is to better these guys.
Yeah, that's awesome. That really is. And
Sure.
we don't want to keep you too much longer because we know you just came off the road. I'm sure you want to take a break. Just what's the upcoming schedule looking like, and where can we find the Junior Comets on online, on social media?
Yeah, we play this weekend a big 3-game set: Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Actually Wednesday as well. We play at home. That's that home game you guys alluded to at the Nexus Center. So this Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we're in Mercer to play the Mercer Chiefs. They're actually a new team in the league. They've had some early success, so it's a in-divisional matchup, and these 3 games are huge, along with that Wednesday home game coming up. So we're going to kind of hit a reset button and focus on some things this week and really prepare for Mercer, because we got 4 games against them, and these 4 games can really shake up the standings quite a bit when you look how tight everything is. So Wednesdays at the Nexus Center. That's that first home opener at the Nexus Center, I should say, which should be an exciting game. And then if guys want to watch our team play, Hockey TV is the easiest way to do that. And you can just search the Utica Jr Comets NCDC team or the Premier team and watch those games via Hockey TV.
That's awesome. Now, are the Junior Comets, their home games, are they open to the public?
Yeah, they are. There's no ticket sales or anything like that. You can just walk right in. So
if you get the schedule, that's a great way to check out the Nexus Center, right?
Yeah, absolutely, no question. We'd like to get. I mean, it's tough with the AHL team in the college in town to get a big fan base, but to have like the youth at our games is obviously huge, or anybody that's just interested in seeing young kids play. We have some good players, right? We have kids that are going to go on play really high Division III hockey, really good Division I hockey, and some of these kids will be pro hockey players. So the product on the ice is really good.
Absolutely. Verm, any closing thoughts?
No, I agree with Louie. I mean, I've seen the team develop over the years, and you guys are definitely improving. And your team this year you got some good players out there. You're right.
Yeah, no, there's no question. I mean, there's definitely talent, and it's exciting to work with the group, and how much better these kids get at this age from day one till the last day of the season is pretty wild. Just with them growing and like understanding the difference between like 16U and 18U coming into juniors, and just more of a man style game where, these kids are, starting to get into their peak of their career. And it's exciting to see the jumps they can make, because they're pretty dramatic.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And by the way, I do have to tell you, I absolutely love that YouTube video you did a few years ago for the Junior Comets, the snapshots. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Seriously, I mean, it's a great thing for kids to watch.
Yeah.
Because that's all off ice. Anybody could do those right there in their driveway. That's great.
Yeah, I forgot about that. That was during COVID, right?
Yeah.
To get some, off ice work in. No doubt. Yeah. Every little thing helps.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Louie, thank you for coming on tonight. We really appreciate it. Yeah. And, best of luck to the Junior Comets for the rest of the season. And we will certainly be out to the Nexus Center to see you guys play.
Awesome. No, this is great. I had a blast. Anytime I'll come back.
All right. Well, we might hold you to that,
What's that?
I said, we might hold you to that,
Yeah. Get a player on here too, maybe.
Hey, there you go. We'd love to do that. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, that'd be good stuff. We'll do that for sure.
All right. Sounds good.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Louie. Appreciate it.
Scott, Verms, be well.
You too, pal. We'll see you. All right. That was awesome. You know what? And that's so great to get an inside look at the Utica Junior Comets program like that, because, seriously, I mean, obviously we talk about the Comets a lot. We talk about the Pioneers a lot. And now you got Hamilton College starting in the area as well, in the Utica area, that is. But you know what? The Junior Comets are right there, and it's a whole new world of hockey for fans around here.
Yeah, I mean, I've been repping those teams for 4 years now, I want to say. And I even learned stuff from Louie that I didn't know before. So it's very interesting.
Yeah, there you go. Absolutely.
How to referee or what?
Oh, yeah, definitely. You gave me some tips on that. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I'm sure he did.
Yes, that loud voice you hear from the bench.
Yeah.
Some of that passion just coming out.
Yeah, there it is right there.
Definitely likes to yell, but he's a good guy.
That's awesome. That is great. Well, I'll tell you what. Why don't we do a commercial break, and when we come back, we'll go over the weekend schedule that will be in Central New York. How's that?
Visit My Little Falls and stay connected with the latest news, information, and events in the city and the area. Our mission is to generate interest in the community and connect residents in a more meaningful way by facilitating deeper conversations about how these stories will shape the future of the Mohawk Valley. Join thousands of weekly visitors who stay up to date with feature stories, interviews, videos, our event calendar, and print publication, the Mohawk Valley Express. It's about timely local news for the community, keeping citizens informed about important issues, telling about the people who live and work here, and giving locally owned businesses the opportunity to reach a very targeted audience of locals and tourists alike. It's a whole new form of media-rich content developed specifically for today's mobile lifestyle and listeners. You can download our iOS app in the iTunes store, listen to our country music streaming radio station, or sign up for a weekly newsletter. Stop by today at mylittlefalls.com. You'll be glad you did.
And we're back. And as always, I love that commercial, Dave. I just do.
Yeah, I don't change it just for you.
I know, right? Please don't. Please don't ever change that.
I got to do something with it.
No, you don't.
Yeah, come on.
It's like the Rocky Balboa commercials. I keep telling you that.
Okay, all right.
Oh, anyway, so yeah, guys, let's talk about the games that are to come up here in Central New York this week. But before we go to those, I do want to make a quick announcement. No, you can leave that up there.
All right.
Fine.
Said go.
Just a quick announcement. 315 Hockey is going to be starting up a Game of the Week feature. This is going to be a lot of fun. What it's going to be is I'll be picking a game every week. It's obviously in Central New York. It's going to be our Game of the Week. I'm going to be doing live tweeting from the game. We're going to be taking some pictures, doing it up, right? Covering that game the best that we can. And this week, the very first game of the week, I'm going to be at the Class of 1965 Arena on Friday night covering the Colgate women's team playing the Clarkson Golden Knights. Colgate is number 6 in the nation. Clarkson is number 10. So this is going to be an awesome game. So I will be out there live tweeting on 315 Hockey Twitter and Yeah, you're looking at me. Like,
I'm not looking at anything.
you're looking like I'm 3
I
heads
just-
or something.
I don't. Well, yeah, you and live tweeting and everything. You
I
started
know
talking.
that's going to
tech.
be a challenge. I'll tell you right now.
I started. I saw smoke coming.
That's
from
what you were
behind the
laughing about. I
headset.
got
Yeah,
it. Yeah, it's you know what? We'll see how this goes.
Verm, this is going to be great.
Yeah, he's over there snickering too. Everybody's laughing at me.
You can handle it.
Yeah, you know what? Even if you don't want to know the score of the game, just tune in for the comedy. That's it.
Uh,
Oh boy. So Verm, what do we got going on Wednesday?
We have the Syracuse Crunch at Rochester at 7:00, and the Providence Bruins are right here in Utica at 7:00 at the Adirondack Bank Center. And then out in Morrisville, SUNY Geneseo is playing the Morrisville men's team, and that's Mustang Blackout Night. I'm not totally sure what that is. I think it's just black t-shirts.
no, I thought
Yeah.
there's people drinking too much beer and passing out.
Well,
All
that
right.
could
Also
be. Hey,
be
you
that
know,
was kind of crazy.
now, why
for
wasn't
Wednesday.
that the game of the week?
Yeah, you're at the wrong place. Colgate's way too easy. Yeah. All right.
I'll tell you, that Geneseo team's really good, so that should be a really good game.
They are really good.
All right, Friday, November 4th. I already mentioned the Colgate game. What else we got there, Verm?
D3 women, we have SUNY Plattsburgh at Morrisville, and then you mentioned Clarkson at Colgate. Then also D1 women, Lindenwood is at Syracuse at 6:00. The Crunch traveled to Charlotte to play the Checkers. D1 men, Colgate is at Quinnipiac at 7 p.m. D3 men, Plattsburgh's at Oswego, also at 7. And then Utica is at Stevenson at 7. D3 women, Oswego is at Potsdam. And Arcadia is at Utica at 7:00 at Adirondack Bank Center. And then we just talked to Lou about the NCDC. They're traveling to New Jersey to play the Mercer Chiefs. That's at 7 on Friday. And then the Comets are traveling to Rochester for a 7:05 start.
You know, you just said that the Colgate men are at Quinnipiac. So last Saturday, the Colgate women were at Quinnipiac. And you know what? That was like a 315 hockey show right there because
Oh, yeah.
Sydney Bard from New Hartford on the Colgate side, Mia Lapata, who was just on the show from the Quinnipiac side. Quinnipiac did come out on top in that game. It was 3-0, but it was 1-0 all the way to like less than 2 minutes left, and they got 2 empty net goals.
Yeah.
But it was a great game. I watched it, and the rematch is in Colgate on January 13th. So I will certainly be there to check that one out too.
Game of the week.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I'll tell you, Syracuse women, they had a really good weekend too. They swept the RIT
Yeah.
Tigers. So you know what? They now they're 2-0 in CHA play. So
I can't believe you weren't live twitting from that game.
listen, this is going to be a process. Okay.
I'm just having so much fun.
I know
with
you just your face lights up whenever you mention that. Now that's just great.
that. I know. Kind of like the burning puck.
Yeah, exactly. All right, what do we got Saturday, Verb?
We have Plattsburgh women at Morrisville women at 1:00. And then our USPHL Comets premier team is traveling to Elmira for a 2:00 game. Arcadia is playing UU women at 2:30.
It's still tough to get used to.
I know. Lindenwood and Syracuse wrap up that series. Utica men are at Stevenson to finish that series. Oswego women are at Canton at 3:00. And SUNY Brockport is at Morrisville men at 4:00, and that's senior night. And then Junior Comets NCDC are at Mercer for game 2 of 3. Crunch finished their weekend at Charlotte at 6. Rochester is going to be here in Utica at 7. Colgate men are at Princeton, and Potsdam men are at Oswego men at 7:00, and that's Military Appreciation Night.
So that, and I see the Rochester. Oh boy, the rematch from the playoffs last year. Round
Yes, sir.
2 of garbage plates versus chicken riggies.
You know, UU sounds like plural, so the singular would just be you. So why don't we just call them you?
Because Miami's got the market cornered on that. Remember,
Just
Miami
a-
Hurricanes, the U.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
Can't do that.
Hell with them.
it's got to say Utica.
This is
Yeah.
This is 315. We can do what we want. We got
And
the
then
hats to prove
Yeah,
it.
you tell them, Dave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm off camera. That's
Leave
why.
the charge, pal. Go right ahead. See how that works out. Oh, looks like we got one game on Sunday, Verb.
Yep, Comets, Junior Comets, NCDC at Mercer. And that's the third game of the weekend. But then, like Louie said, they're playing Wednesday at the Nexus Center. I think that's, I don't know what time it is, but I think it's Wednesday night.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's like 6:30 or something like that.
Yeah, I think something around there.
Yeah. So, no, that's awesome. I mean, look, that hockey is firing up full scale here. Like I said, Hamilton College starts in a couple of weeks too. So,
Yeah, the 19th, I believe.
yeah. So, I mean, it's right around the corner for them. So, believe me, if you're a hockey fan in Central New York, you cannot possibly be bored at this time of year.
Really?
It's impossible.
No way.
The fact that Scott can't read those cards means there's a lot going on.
It's because the screen's just a little bit too far away.
Yeah.
Maybe I need to do a live screen over here.
You could do that.
You know, you and all your technology can figure out how to, you know.
I could. No. No.
Oh boy. Well,
That's all right. I can read them for you, Scott.
thank you. Exactly. Somebody who can actually read it. It's great. See?
Yeah.
Oh, well, that was a lot of fun this week. That really was. And like I said, it was a thrill having Louie on to get an inside look at the Junior Comets. And just like I said, exciting times coming up here. So any closing thoughts there, Verb?
Lots of good hockey coming up.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
You ain't kidding. So that'll do it. Once again, we want to thank Louie Ejikade for coming on. So for Dave the Save Warner, for Mike Drominski, I'm Scott Kinville. Thanks for listening, and we will see you next week on 315 Hockey Live.